effective interventions for families or other populations that you really don't. And so I think it's a really good question because it places an ethical challenge on us to look at what can we provide as services in a professional way that meet standards of the law and our professions, but also internally our own set of guidelines about our own integrity, about how we feel comfortable in sharing our professional expertise. So I think clearly there is an obligation to share with the organization the limits of your expertise. And it may not be clear that you don't have total expertise, but it may be that they want you to run a group for persons with that have mental disorders in a company, let's say, and your specialty is substance abuse. So I think first off, you need to examine your own expertise and say, is this something that I could actually do, perhaps with supervision and with additional training? For example, if the groups were going to start in 6 months, then you may be able to get supervision and training to learn some of those skills and to get up to the point of where you could professionally and credibly actually provide a evidence-based professional approach towards the family group with the mentally ill. However, I think it's very important to share with the organization what the limits are of your current expertise, and to be completely honest that this is an interesting opportunity. I don't feel like I've run family groups before, and I want you to know that. I'm willing to learn. Maybe you're the only practitioner in a rural area, and so there may not be other options. However, let's say you're in Kampala and there are other clinicians that are available that have the expertise in working with families. So there clearly, I think, is potential ethical violations if you are taking on the role of providing family therapy and there are other people who could do that more effectively because of their experience and expertise. And so in that case, I think you want to share with the organization. I'm very complimented that you would come to me. While I could provide services with families in the substance abuse area, I don't currently have the expertise in the mental health area. I have colleagues that I could refer you to if you'd like, who I believe are better positioned to provide those services. So I'm going to stop there because I know Carrie has some additional thoughts that she could share.
Yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with ever saying that you don't know something. I think that is a strength. And yes, of course, you don't want to lose an opportunity. However, if I am the person hiring someone and they come and they say, well, I've never done that before, but I'm eager to learn and I want to add that to my repertoire. I think, I have hired people and for roles, and I would definitely be that wouldn't be a negative for me. That would be okay, you have an opportunity. Most of us come into the field not having done many of these things. So yeah, and I think that I agree with everything you said, Roger. I think there are opportunities to hopefully shadow or be trained or have before or when you get the role. So
one last thought that I have is that it may depend on the nature of the group as well. So for example, if it's just an educational group for families about, let's say, mental health resources or other issues of, let's say, self-care for family members, there's less vulnerability for harm, right? Ethically, there's less vulnerability for harm, again, using the White and Popovits model, than if you were running a family group in which it was about preventing relapse or being part of the therapeutic team to address substance use disorders. Or if you're providing, let's say, therapeutic techniques for the family to support cognitive behavioral interventions for people with depressive disorders, right? So, and I'm not suggesting that would actually be a group, but there would potentially be more harm involved for you not being trained in that area in providing those groups than there would be if it was just an educational group providing information that you could share with them without a lot of training.
And I think, also I really like how in the manual, it also, while we have the White and Popovits as one option, there's also universal values that you can think about. And one of them is honesty and candor. So that's an opportunity where it reminds you that, we want to tell the truth and are able to build the competence, which is also a value there, to where you can get to the point where you are comfortable and capable to provide those groups.
So one other question that's a good one is what to do if a client isn't benefiting from treatment. And so I think this is an issue that for those of us in the field, all of us have had to deal with at one point or another. And it's a good ethical, really good ethical question. Because on one hand, you might want to keep a client because you enjoy working with that client, right? Even though they're not getting better and they're still depressed, or whatever the issue is, it may be that you just enjoy the relationship. And it may be that you also economically are benefiting from that relationship as well, by them paying fees or receiving insurance benefits from seeing them clinically, even though they're not getting better. But I think clearly, from an ethical standpoint, we need to look at alternatives to working with the client to place them in a setting where they can best benefit. So in this case, the harm is really potentially to the client in not receiving alternative services that may help them with their mental health or substance abuse problem. And so, again, I think the clear choice would be to try to find a professional in the community who you could refer the client to that would give them a better chance of benefiting from treatment. And so I think that may take some work on your part to identify who that is. And it may take some thinking about what is it that's not working in this therapeutic relationship. It may be simply that I just don't have the skills to work with that person in providing cognitive behavioral interventions for their disorder. Or I'm not trained in substance abuse. And it turns out after we dealt with the depression that the person has a chronic addiction problem with cannabis and alcohol. And I just don't have the skills to do that. So in that case, you're trying to find and identify somebody in the community who can address those issues with more expertise, clearly. I think another ethical consideration is how you talk with a client about that and discuss that, because you want to, again, retain optimism and keep their motivation for involvement in services, and at the same time, provide a handoff to another professional in the community who you trust. And so I think honesty is an important issue, clarifying, again, your own kind of boundaries about what your areas of expertise are. I've really enjoyed working with you as a client, and I think we've made some progress. However, I think that there's some identified needs that you've shared with me that I am not able to help you with as much as other people in the community. And I have somebody in mind that I'd like to introduce you to, if you'd like to continue your therapeutic services, your counseling sessions. I can arrange a meeting with that person to go further. And I think this really could help you. This person's expert in the field and has helped so many people like yourselves. So I think there's a lot of that dialogue that needs to occur as well with the clients so that they don't feel like they have failed and that you don't like them, right? That's another ethical kind of outcome that would be adverse and would be harmful, right? And so I think you need to think about those ways of addressing the transition to another counselor in a thoughtful way that allows you to be honest, but also to provide optimism and to share and to also address those potential concerns the client might have about that I'm being dumped and that they don't want to work with me because they don't like me, all of those issues. So I think a really important question. Let me stop.
And just to add to that, even before you get to that point, which I'm sure is what the question is getting at, but I think we also, I'm sure Igor would jump in with this too, but I think we also have to realize that kind of staying stuck or resistance or people not moving forward during counseling is a sign to us as our counselor, and maybe what, in what ways we are providing clinical services. So it can also be a sign to us that, well, I've been doing this the whole time and now I need to pivot. I need to try something different with them. And if you have opportunities for supervision or other people that you can talk to, you can also say, okay, I'm doing this, but nothing seems to be, I've been using, motivational enhancement, I've been using cognitive behavioral, whatever it is, and there doesn't seem to be change. So looking at, are there different ways for you to work with that client as well? You maybe think, well, I'm doing all the right things, but do you need to pivot or do you need to take something else out of your toolkit to work with them in a different way? Is this a sign to you, like resistance would be, that it's not, what you're doing isn't working, or the relationship isn't strong enough, or something of that nature? So I think it's a good sign to us too, as counselors, that maybe there's it's an opportunity for us to do something different.
And that's a great point. And I think it's also an opportune time to get supervision, to identify whether or not there are some additional strategies that you haven't thought of that might be helpful to benefit the client. Here's one last idea. And this may sound silly, but there are points when each of us are working with clients and they're doing pretty well and they've kind of plateaued. And I think there's a tendency, and I may have talked about this before, where you enjoy your time with a client and that it's also rewarding to us to see that a client is doing well, and yet they've gotten the most benefit out of counseling that they will ever get, perhaps. And I think it's sometimes we have our own resistance to letting go of clients who are doing well. And I think we have an ethical obligation to understand that it's not in the client's benefit to always to continue to be seen as having disorders and needing treatment because they need to move on to the next step of having their own self-confidence, self-esteem, their own sense of that they control their own lives and that they don't depend on a therapeutic relationship, if that makes sense. That may be a small number of people on your caseload or people that you've seen, but I think it's an issue that sometimes we overlook, and again, supervision would help us with this issue to allow for a transition and say, you know what, I think you're ready to move on, and that I'm always available in the future if there's a need, if there's another crisis that might occur or need for therapy. But let me stop there. Do we want to check and see if there are other questions or comments from our group?
Oh, Ezra, go ahead.
Hello, how are you, everybody?
Hello.
I think sometimes it also comes back to the process. What stage are you at? Has the patient been doing well before, and now at a certain stage you are getting a challenge? When did it start? So sometimes the client does well for the first 2-3 weeks or a month, and all of a sudden things start changing. Or the patient comes when the patient doesn't need recovery. The intervention was that the patient was forced to come to you and never wanted your service. Is the patient working, doing his role? Is the client also playing his role? It's all about you. Somebody hired you and they want work done. And many times, battling addiction, many times the ones I have seen, out of maybe 10, 6 or 7 don't want recovery. In Uganda, they have been either forced, you either keep your job, you go for recovery and keep your job, or you lose your job if you don't go for recovery. Some parents have forced them to come. So they pretend around, be honest until the program is over. The road and the person tells you, no, for me, I never was interested in your recovery. So sometimes it's on the part of the client. We also need to check ourselves and seek supervision. I pass.
Ezra, could you give us an example of what the presenting problem would be for that type of client who's mandated to treatment, who doesn't want to be there, that you are providing services for?
For example, there is one of my friend. He passed on. He was to come to treatment because he was on the verge of losing his job. Called us in. The management called us in with intervention. He was not even aware. Security pushed him into the car, into the treatment. But he went into 3 other rehabs. And by the time he died, he said he did not need any recovery or any support. He said he was doing fine and he could function by himself. But he would go because he had fears of losing his job. But he passed on.
Well, one thing I would add is that, as we know, most people are coerced or leveraged into treatment. There's very few people that come to our doors and say, Dr. Peters, you're the most wonderful therapist in the world. I've heard great things about how you help people recover. And so I want to do whatever it takes to work with you individually or in your groups. So I think everyone's leveraged, whether it's by the employer, as you mentioned, Ezra, or by the court system, right? Or by a family member, perhaps, maybe a spouse or a girlfriend, a boyfriend that says, I can't take this anymore unless you get treatment for your substance abuse. And so you have to make a decision whether you want us to stay as a couple or to get treatment. And so, as you mentioned, the person comes into treatment and isn't responsive to begin with, and doesn't admit that they have problems, etc. And so, one thing I know in our field that's we don't always have success with these people, but oftentimes, if individuals like that are placed in a group, for example, with other people who are further along in recovery, that there's a chance for them to model and to observe how other people are doing and how they're benefiting from treatment, and also connect to the idea that maybe they do have a problem and that they need to come to grips with that, and that also treatment offers some solutions to those problems that may help them in many different ways, including getting their family back, getting their job back, getting their kids back if they've lost their children due to substance abuse and the kids have been placed in another setting. So I think that sometimes we believe that someone has to be motivated and has to be eager to seek treatment. But my experience is that people in drug treatment, for example, if they're telling you that they're not telling the truth, because nobody wants to be in drug treatment to begin with. Very few people. It may be some extreme crisis that they want to get immediate relief from, but in the long term, they're not thinking about, oh, I need to recover from my substance abuse through intensive therapy, group sessions, self-help groups. That isn't the approach. So I think we have to tolerate some of that resistance to begin with, knowing that over time, especially if they're exposed to peers who are in the recovery process, that that same person may move from pre-contemplation, not believing they have a problem, to at least admitting that there's something that needs to be changed in their life, and perhaps gaining some motivation to make those changes.
Yep, absolutely. So we have a few more minutes, just 5 more minutes before we're going to go into our, excuse me, our graduation. So last questions on either ethics or crisis management.
Ezra, did you want to add anything? Did that address some of the issues that you would raise?
We may have, Ezra, if you're responding, we can't hear you, you're muted.
Just wanted to share brief about how I got into treatment. The counseling psychologist with an AA person in recovery to be my sponsor. When I was tricked into treatment. I didn't know I was going for treatment. But when I got there, the psychologist got a Bible, AA big book. Yeah, thinking problem. I told him no. He gave me the book and he said, go and read the stories at the back of the book. When you realize you have a problem, you come back. He gave me the book. Luckily enough, I read some of the stories. But as I read the first 3 stories, were Europeans. I thought this problem is for Europeans, it's not for Africans. But as I read further, it took me 3 months to read a number of testimonies, and spoke to me, and I related with those stories. I had a problem. I never knew I had a problem. I walked by myself back with a book, and gentleman, I realized now I have a problem. Will you take me in? Beginning of my recovery. So by the time I came back, I had decided I needed recovery. But I have colleagues that I found there who thought we are smarter. They wanted to change the literature, edit it to fit what they want. But about 6 of them passed on. They did not work the program and they passed on. So sad. So recovery is possible if the person wants it. We motivate, we use our skills, we encourage, but when people get knowledge and they see that they need it, they will do anything to pursue it. Because we can't supervise them everywhere they go. They will be with us for a short time and they leave. So what we do is we empower them. At the end of the day, it's them to pursue their recovery. That helped me. They did not push me, they only gave me information. And it's the information that broke my denial. I have ever been grateful up to today. I pass.
Thank you for sharing. We're really honored. And it's terrible to hear about so many people who don't recover and don't get there. So we're really glad that you're here and part of our program. And yeah, I mean, ultimately, I always see my goal as trying to find the motivation for try to help the person find their motivation, find their why. But I can't, as you say, we can't do it for anyone else.
That's a great story. Thank you for sharing that. And I think it points out the psychologist was using some motivational techniques that are important about not confronting you that you have a problem that would have created more resistance. you never would have read that book, but provided an opportunity for you to kind of gain some motivation on your own before you came back and were ready for treatment. He wasn't going to provide some counseling services for you that you weren't ready for. So I think that worked, and congratulations for going through that journey.
Yeah. Welcome, Becky.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be tied.
So we are on perfect timing here. So we are going to now shift into our graduation session. And Ezra and I are just going to say a few words to begin. I just want to say that this is the first time we have done this in this format through ICU DDR, where you watch the walkthrough videos that were completed with another group. And then we have these enrichment sessions to bolster whatever you don't understand or need questions completed. And I know it's not easy. It's not easy even with live groups, and especially with network issues and jobs and all the other things you have. So I want to tell you how proud we are of you at ICU DDR that you have been doing the online sessions, completing the exams, coming to these sessions. And we started with a really large group and we've come down to a small group. So you can be really proud of yourself that a lot of people were, you know, said, oh, this would be great. I want to do this. And probably had, you know, truly were interested. However, they didn't continue to do the work that was involved. So I hope that you'll all feel pride for that. I know some of you have said you haven't completed all of them. So I have that data, and I appreciate, you know, those of you who have reached out and let me know that. Just continue on your course until you've completed all of them. I have your attendance at these sessions, and I have the documentation of what you've done through Healthy Knowledge. So don't give up, just finish the course so that you can have that completion, and the work that you've put in can be for, you know, will not be for naught. But again, we started in, you know, months ago, last year, and it's been a pleasure to hear your challenging questions and to have conversations with you on WhatsApp. And I'm really grateful. And I'm going to be sending out an evaluation after this session today. So please give honest feedback if you think, you know, for working individuals that this is, if the time was too fast, if it's difficult to do, if you feel you learned something from it, you know, we can make changes for the future. So you can definitely be a part of that. So let us know what worked, what didn't, so that we can have a really honest assessment of this kind of pilot way to do it. So, but I want to congratulate you, and for whatever, if you're done today, if you're going to be done in a week or a month, congratulations. And we're really glad you were part of this cohort. And Ezra, I don't want to take all our time, so we have 2 more minutes. Did you want to say anything?
I can say that my colleagues, thank you very much for the effort. Study is not easy. To do self-study, people are very busy. Let's hope that in Uganda, we can even be leaders in East and Central Africa, or even the whole of Africa. Team, at least a team of at least 15 people. ICU DDR has promised to support our initiatives that they can. So let's keep together, have plans for our country. So long as we are committed, nothing is impossible. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and you raise a really good point. One of the reasons I've been so excited about this project from the start is because, you know, there's such a scarcity right now, as you guys have let me know. So it's really exciting, the impact that this group can have to train other people to go out and provide services. So really excited to see what we can do moving forward. to get addiction science programs started at the university level. And, 10 years from now, could be in a completely different place in Uganda. So in terms of addiction science, so it's very exciting. So thank you. And I would now, well, let me just say generally, I want to thank everyone because this is such a group effort. I absolutely couldn't do this on my own. And I'm so grateful to all of you, professionals and our participants for training and supporting and helping with schedules. And Ezra has been an amazing partner in Uganda. I could not have done it without all of your help, Ezra. I would like to introduce Ann Chick from the Foreign Affairs Office at INL and the U.S. Department of State, and she's a huge support to all of our initiatives at ICU DDR. So I'll just give her a few minutes to say whatever she'd like to. Thank you.
Good morning, Carrie. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes, okay. So first of all, congratulations on finishing this course. And we do know that it's a lot of work for you all, and we appreciate that you go through it, and we hope that we are providing tools that you actually need and can use. And please let us know if there's something that you feel would be useful that we could provide that isn't there. Right now we provide Carrie, but we thank her for all of her efforts, and Igor and Roger also. And I want to say that we hope that you see this, you're not finishing a course and going away, but you're rather part now of an induction into a global community that we're hoping to support, to share with each other, and to help work together to solve the problems of substance abuse. So we don't expect you to disappear. We very much hope that you won't disappear, but join ICU DDR. And if you can't join as a university, at least join Carrie's email list so you stay up to date with what resources are on the ICU DDR website and what they can share with you. And then also join ISUP, that's isup.net, because there's lots of resources on their website that you can use. And then if there's something that you need, perhaps ask for it, and we'll see what we can do to try to fill a gap. And the exciting thing is we hope within the next year that there'll be lots more of online courses, online videos, and things that you can use to share. So that's about all I have to say, and thank you very much for participating.
Thank you, Anne. I will tell you that Ezra is not afraid to ask for what this group needs, which I appreciate. So I'm sure I'll be getting, after our last session, I got the question of, so you guys said you were going to support us as much as you can. What does that mean? What exactly does that mean? Which I love. So yeah, we'll be working closely together, I'm sure, moving forward. Thanks, Anne. So next, I want to introduce Becky Vaughn, who's the director of GCCC, and I know a lot of you have questions, and I think she has a presentation for us today so that you'll be fully informed about certification. Is it snowy there?
No, the snow is almost gone. We're dealing with some ice, but anyway, we're good. It is cold, and I don't like cold weather, so but I'm surviving. Yes, I would like to share just a few slides in my congratulations to all of you. Let's see if I can figure this out on WebEx.
I just made you the presenter, but let me know if you're not sure about anything.
Great. Okay, go. All right. Good. Are you seeing what you're supposed to be seeing?
Do you have two monitors?
Yeah, is it showing the wrong one?
Yeah,
Sorry.
that always happens to me, I understand.
I know, I think I've got it figured out, and I think I've asked for the right one, but let me try again. Sorry, guys.
This group definitely understands about technical difficulties. Don't worry.
Oh, man. Well, come on. Apparently my computer doesn't like me very much either.
We like you.
Won't give me the screen back. Okay. All right, stop sharing should be somewhere that I'm not seeing.
Yes, where is it? Oh, there might be like a bar at the top.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, guys.
I have an idea. If I try to share, then it might take it away from you.
Okay, maybe we've got it now.
How's that?
You just took it away from me.
I did.
So can I share now?
Go for it.
Okay.
And if that doesn't work, you're welcome to just email it to me real quick and I can.
I know.
It's okay.
Oh, me. It's still showing you.
Oh,
Okay. Wait a minute. Boy. All right. What does it look like now?
now we got it.
Oh, good. Thank you for your patience. Oh my goodness. Good afternoon. I am Becky Vaughn, as Carrie just said, and I am delighted to be here. I'm even more delighted now that my PowerPoint is showing. I am super honored to be here with all of you. It continues to be my pleasure to work with Carrie and ICU DDR folks and the great trainers that you have obviously had in with support from the U.S. Department of State, the INL division, as Anne was just talking about. It's also nice to see some of my colleagues on the call. So first, let me just say thank you again, as repeating what everybody else has said. You already know how untreated addiction is ravaging Uganda and the world. Each of you probably has a personal reason that drew you here, or maybe you just have a calling to help. You now know even more about treatment. Together with prevention and recovery support, that is the best road to reduce the demand for drugs and the negative consequences of untreated addiction. I am so encouraged when I look at this class. I'm told y'all have done a great job with the UTC, and this is even more exciting to me when I can count on people to really make that difference. So why am I here? So I'm glad you asked. I'm here to remind you of what your next step is. So why do I want you to go beyond the training that you have had and get credentialed? Well, two reasons that I want to point out. First, do no harm. This is a lifelong, very old mantra that anybody who works in the health field always has in the back of their mind. Experience and testing demonstrate to others that you know what you're doing. This should be crucial to Uganda to ensure that this vulnerable population is not harmed in the name of treatment. Second, minimum standards are important. You can show a potential employer, you can show your government that you have not only been trained, but you have demonstrated that you understand the knowledge and have the skills to be professional in this field. So, how does this work? Passionate people get trained, they get experience working in the field, and they apply to sit for the exam. If they pass the exam, then they are awarded the ICAP credential. Is the exam easy? No, around 70% pass. But would you be proud of a designation that just anybody could acquire? So I want you to be proud of your training, and eventually I want you to be proud of a credential. I am sure that, and why is my computer freezing up just to be, all right. I am sure that many of you had days when you were so tired from your work and the last thing you wanted to do was look at a screen and try to cram more into an already saturated brain. You probably even thought about quitting, but you're here and you didn't. Here you are, and here I am to congratulate and thank you. I hope, as it has been said earlier, that many of you have already joined ISIP. I know some of you, if you haven't joined ISIP yet, get on it. Right after we're finished, get on it. ISIP.net. Some of you are already part of ICU DDR, and you understand all of that from your training. And then here's where you can find more information about our credentials and certifications. When you go to that website, check out this map under our About tab, and you can see how many credentialed people are in every country just by passing your cursor over it. You are absolutely part of my superhero team and ready to take on the challenge of the work that needs to be done in Uganda. You are important and you will make a difference. Thank you. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions.
I have a feeling that a lot of people do have questions. So
I'm happy to answer.
thank you so much, Becky. What I'm going to do is probably just do a couple more introductions, and then in the time we have left, open it up, because I think that that's you have a topic that a lot of people want to discuss. So thank you so much. So I want to introduce our project manager for Africa from the Colombo Plan Drug Advisory, George, who I believe is, yes, has joined us. So did you want to say a few words, George?
Are you hearing me?
Yes.
So I think I want to join the people who are saying congratulations to the team. I have had the privilege of sitting before in a walkthrough, and I know how tedious, how tiring it is. So for you guys to have gone through, when I say congratulations, I know what I mean. So congratulations to all of you. I also want to take this opportunity to sincerely thank INL. INL has been very, very supportive of Africa. Anchik, who is on the call, has particularly been very helpful in getting the UPC, which we had. When we were trying to get UPC to Uganda, I actually didn't have money from the African project. When I stretched my hand to Anchik, like I always do, she gave me a little money and we got to Uganda with UPC. So we want to thank INL and Anchik in particular. So we also want to thank ICDDR, who are conducting the second walkthrough in Africa. I think that's a big, big sacrifice, taking the amount of time it takes to organize and execute a walkthrough. I think that's a big achievement. And we want to tell you, Africa, we're open. If you want to do another walkthrough, please just let us know and we will we'll facilitate. And we want to tell you that any seed that falls in Africa germinates. And people are realizing that. Investors are realizing that, academicians are realizing that, even drug traffickers are realizing that. So everybody knows that Africa is a continent of opportunity. So instead of letting the negative people invest in our continent, we are welcoming ICDDR to invest more, INL to invest more, and then we shall be able to get Africa across. I also want to say one more thing to my Ugandan colleagues. You have had now UTC, you have also had UPC. We are challenging you to give us a product to be able to put on the table, to be able to show that something has grown out of the input that has been there. I guess once we are able to show that we are bearing fruit, it's possible for us to be able to ask INL to help us get more programs. We have recovery coach, we have treatment for children, we have treatment for women, we have mentoring programs, so we have a lot more programs. But it will be difficult for us to ask INL to help us, to fund us to do more before we show them that what they have funded us for before is producing fruit. So I'm challenging you, colleagues from Uganda. Let us be able to give what we call return on investment. So by the end of this, we pray that we'll have a few people credentialed. We'll also have a few more people trained. We'll also have this training that you have had translated into curricula. Let's be able to have something to put on the table so that we shall be able to get more funding and be able to do all those things we have mentioned. So with those few remarks, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you and I look forward to more work in Uganda.
Thank you so much. And just to echo that, yeah, we always want a sustainable model, right? So we want to train people and then have them be able to become trainers and train other people and go forward, because it's not sustainable for ICU DDR to just continue to do walkthroughs or for any group to do that. So while we will be doing that to the extent that we can, we are hoping to create change agents and leaders in communities who can go forth and do that. And I know that you have some of those already, so that's wonderful. I want to thank our trainers, and I'm so grateful to all of them. They are friends of mine personally and experts in the field, and have been up early in the morning and have been excellent answering questions or training, even if no one had questions and there was silence and we were wondering if anyone was there with us, and dealing with network issues, etc. So I'll just mention briefly, Donald Kokanoya does not seem to be here, but we're really grateful for his assistance. Dr. Peters, who has been here with us for several sessions. Excuse me, Moses Adu, our excellent help from Nigeria, and then Dr. Kusanak, who is, as I said, been up early in the morning. So if any of you want to say anything, you have an opportunity now.
Just want to congratulate everyone on the great work you've done, and good luck in the field. We hope to see you again soon at conferences when we can actually meet in person. But this is great work, and thanks to Carrie for all of your help in coordinating things as well, and to Becky for her help in the certification process to come.
And congratulations from me too. And it was a pleasure working with all of you. And just remember, the project is ending. You're graduating today, but we are still around. If you need our help, if you need our advice, we are just an email away from you. And I will be happy to continue assisting my colleagues in Uganda. So good luck to all of you.
Moses, did you want to say?
Well, okay. Thank you very much. Actually, I want to congratulate all my colleagues in Uganda for the successful completion of this UTC course. I know it's exhausting, and one needs to actually be motivated and purposeful to complete the training. ICDR for the privilege and the opportunity to participate in this from all of you, and everyone, and I'm getting a lot from you, and this is similar thing here. Thank you very much for this privilege you provided for me to be part of this training. I'm grateful.
Thank you so much. We're grateful for everyone as well. So we have a couple more minutes. I know that there are some questions. Ezra, go for it.
I wanted to appreciate George, my brother, George Mirim, I had not realized that he's around. George, greetings. George recommended me for all the trainings I've had, UTC, UPC, recovery support systems. And I remember when he trained me in one of the trainings he did for us, he said, train, professionalize, and expand. That was one of the training goals, I think, for Colombo Plan. Train, professionalize, and expand. So George, the seed you sowed in me is growing right now. So I wanted to appreciate you here. But I also wanted to request, Carrie, I don't know whether you have it on your program, but to ask one representative of the participants to pass a vote of thanks. I did not do that. I expected one of them to do that to their trainers. Dr. Gore Pokahawa could do that for us. Thank you.
Thank you. So I believe some people had questions about the certification process. Does anyone want to ask Becky while we have her?
I'm happy to answer questions. I'm not too scary, I promise. But maybe I did such a good job, everybody's just ready to go.
I don't think you have to convince them. They definitely want to try and get certification. So
I'm really glad to hear that. If I could see your faces, I would make you raise your hand, but that's okay.
well, maybe everyone's tired. They've been working hard. Oh, I think I hear
No
someone.
problem.
Question?
Yes, I'll ask Becky a question, but first I would like to move a vote of thanks to all our trainers. Thank you very much for this opportunity. We have really been blessed. We have learned so much, and some of us are ready to go on for the UPC and the other things, and also for the credentialing. So thank you so much, and I'm sure you will see some of us again. And we hope that this will continue in Uganda, in Africa, and even in other parts of the world. Because as we can see here in Uganda, the problem is increasing, and we are glad that now we can say we are part of that force that will be able to work to help the people who are struggling with substance abuse. So thank you very much. My question is, after this, I think there should be an exam. So how soon does the exam have to be? Where do we have to, can it be online, or do we have to go to a certain place to do it? The logistics of.
Sure, that's a great question. Obviously during the COVID pandemic, we've been a little bit limited in how we can do our exams. So we have a couple of options. If people can come together, depending on what the pandemic situation is there, we can do a paper and pencil test. If there is a computer center that can be used, we can bring people together for that. But in most cases now during the pandemic, most people have been doing it online from their home or office. You need a computer or a laptop with a camera so that a live person can actually proctor you, watch you taking the exam remotely. And so we can, that's the way most people have been doing it right now, and we have been able to set that up and accommodate that. Sometimes in different places, they need to arrange for those computers that have those cameras, like what we're using right now. And so we can, I know we can talk to you and be helpful in terms of what makes the most sense there. But yes, it can be done from your home, from your office, as long as you've got an internet connection, which I'm assuming you've been using for this, and a camera, then we can work that out.
Would we all have to, like, all the people in the group who want to do the test, they all have to be together, or can you organize for?
No, every person can schedule their own exam so that it can be done at their convenience.
Okay.
So Becky, what happens when people have network issues when they're doing, they're trying to take an exam like that and their stuff is coming in and out?
Yeah, we do encourage you to be somewhere where you have a strong internet. If it's a situation where it's going to be coming in and out, then we don't recommend that you use that. The way it's set up is if you're off for more than 3 minutes, then we have to cancel the exam and we have to reschedule. So, but we have a window of about 3 minutes so that if it can come back on, you can continue to take the exam. So we do encourage you to try to be in a place where the internet is strong enough that you feel like for a 3-hour exam, you will be in pretty good shape.
Okay, and I know some of this group tries to use the internet at work if they can, rather than in their homes to make it a little more stable. So that may be an option, given how flexible you seem to be about scheduling.
Or maybe there is some place that is good, and you can sort of schedule people in and out of that place to do that. So we want to make this work, but yes, to protect the integrity of the exam, we can't have people go off for 15 or 30 minutes and then come back on. I think everybody would understand that.
Yeah. Becky, can I send everyone your email address on this group?
Absolutely. And if you will send us all of their emails, Samita can send out the process for applying to all of them.
Oh, great. Okay, will do. All right, well, we are at our time, so I just want to thank everyone again and say congratulations. And it takes a village, so I appreciate everyone's help, and we will be in touch. And as Becky said, I'll send all of your contact information to Becky and Samita so they can tell you the process, because I know many of you are motivated to do that. So thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks for including me.
You, Becky. Appreciate you all. Take care.
Bye, take care.
Thank you.